Hey everyone, so this is going to be the warm-up before you start Showcase of Learning 5. And this is just a reminder of we will be graphing problem number 4 over here, but how you go from factored form to the other form, standard form to the other forms, or vertex form to the other forms. And I'm just going to have my little map out one more time. Just to give us some reminders. So in factored form, remember we can see the x-intercepts, so I'm going to make those x-intercepts really quick. One of them will be -3, 0, and the other one is 5, 0. The trick is you just take the opposite in the parentheses, so this is just a trick. And if you watch the review for the Showcase of Learning, you learned that what we're really doing is just asking ourselves what makes these parentheses equal to 0. So if you set your parentheses equal to 0, draw your wall, and then you can solve for x by subtracting 3 and adding 5, and you can get those numbers a different way. So here is -3, and here is 5. So from factored form, I will have the neighbors meet the neighbors, or I will distribute to get to standard form. So let's start our distributing. X will distribute to those two, and I'll get x squared minus 5x. And then I'll have the 3 meet everyone, or distribute, and I'll get a positive 3x. And then don't forget to multiply those last two terms to get -50. And so now when I combine my like terms, whoops, that should be a -2x, I apologize. I can see my y-intercept now, that is 0, -15. And so that's going to be all the way at the bottom right here. And now to get vertex form, I will need to start from standard form, and that will be that completing the square. There's your little kind of guide to get you started. So I will be grouping a plus instead of a -2x, so I added a negative there. I'm going to add my box, and then my non-x terms don't go in the parentheses, and I'll subtract my box. So I will be taking -2, cutting it in half for -1. I'm going to square that -1 and get 1. And then I'll just double check, is it really worth 1? And it is, because there's nothing to bunny hop with, so it's really 1. So since I added 1, I'll take away 1. And now to get that vertex form, there is no a in front, so I won't put a 1 there. You can if you want. But x with my parentheses squared, so what's in front of this squared will be in front of this squared. And then -15 take away 1 is -16. And so now my vertex is 1, -16. So I'm going to go over here to where 1, -16 is a little bit off the graph. And I think by here you can draw on that line of symmetry, get your y-intercepts partner point, and then you can graph that U-shape, that parabola. So the next two, we're just going to practice going from one form to the other. We're not going to graph. So on this one, we got standard form. And so here I can do either. I'm going to always recommend that you do vertex form first. So again, we'll complete the square. So just like this, I group those x's together. Like so. And now I have a -8 that I will cut in half for -4. I'm going to square and get 16. And I'll put 16 in here, and just double checking the bunny hop. It is really worth 16 because there's a 1 there if you want to put it. So since I added 16, then over here I will take away 16. And now to make that setup of parentheses squared with the x, what's in front of this squared will be what's in front of this squared, so a -4. And then -20 take away 16 is -36. So there's vertex form. If you want to find the vertex, it's +4, -36. And then real quick over here, if you do want the y-intercept for graphing purposes, it's 0, -20. And now what we're going to do is get to factored form. And to get to factored form, you need standard form. So we will check for a GCF, which there isn't one. So I'll go into my x. And I need factors of -20 that get me to -8. And that will be a 10 and a 2, with the 10 being negative. And so I can go to my parentheses, quickly drop in those x's, and that's all I need because x times x is that x squared. And now if you want to draw your face to get the side numbers, I can use this x times a -10 to get to -10. 10x, sorry, and I can use this x times a positive 2 to get to 2x. And then if you do want those x-intercepts, I can do that trick here of negative 2, 0, and 10, 0. All right, number 6. So this time we're starting out in vertex form, which the only option I have to get right now is standard form. And so that's where we're going to get rid of that squared and write those parentheses twice. And then we're going to start with that. If there is an a in front, which this doesn't have, then we'd use that a next. And then the last thing we'll deal with is the k, so that minus 16. So let's first start out by writing these parentheses. And we're going to start here. So this is distributing, just the neighbors meeting the neighbors. So we're going to get x squared plus 5x. And then we're going to distribute the 5 again and get another 5x and a 25 because we'll multiply 5 and 5. And so my first step results in this. Sorry, you can't see that. Now, again, if there were a number in front, that's what I would do next. So if there were like a 3 here, I'd have the 3 distribute to everything. But there's not, so we'll not do that. Instead, the third step that I'll deal with is this k at the end. So I'm going to bring this minus 16 down. And when I'm done, I can combine my like terms of 25 take away 16, which is a positive 9. If we were to graph this, my y-intercept is 0, 9, and over here, my vertex would have been negative 5 with negative 16. But we're not going to graph it. The last thing I need is factored form. So to get to factored form, I'll need standard form. So we'll be factoring. We'll just quickly check for that GCF, which there isn't any. So I can go straight to my x. And the factors of 9 that get me to 10 will be a 9 and a 1. I'm going to make my x's with the parentheses. And x is all I need because x times x is that x squared. So I'm going to do this now. And we'll use those loops to get these side numbers. And I can use this x and multiply it with a positive 9 to get 9x. And then I can take this x and multiply it with a positive 1 to get 1x. And if we were to graph it, it would be negative 1, 0, and negative 9, 0 as the x-intercepts. And that is the warm-up for right before Showcase of Learning number 5.